I guess if you notice, both of us have the same last name. That's because we are a married couple and we're both students at the LBJ School of Public Affairs. And we're here to talk about this amazing opportunity we had over the summer in Beijing, China. So the course we took was in August, and it was called Development Within a Low Carbon World, Preparing Professionals with Policy and Planning Instruments for Green Innovation. Now the irony is we were looking at low carbon technology, and this course was hosted in Beijing. You know, who is the largest carbon emitter in the whole world? So what was really interesting is that we got to go straight to the belly of the beast and understand low carbon policy and plans and innovation in the context of developing countries. Now these aren't the countries that have resources the way the US or Japan or Europe does. So it was really quite interesting. I guess I can just keep going. So,
About the structure.
yeah. We were the only 2 Americans in a cohort of 47 people. This is our clicker. Okay. So there it is. That was the title. And the focus was on green innovation, green technology. And innovation in this sense is not the invention, but more so the spread. How do we get governments and people to adopt the things that we already have in existence? So how do I advance? Oh, this one. So the reason we had this opportunity. Okay. The reason we had this opportunity is because the LBJ School has a relationship with another organization, the Hiroshima University in Japan. And this university is a center of excellence for environmental economics. And LBJ has a strong presence in environmental policy. And this is, as you see, the cohort that we went with is a quite international group. There was representation from 18 different countries. Majority of them were developing countries. And I think Wes and I got selected to go. They only had 2 spaces for LBJ students. It's because developing countries have a special place in our hearts. We have been living in Southeast Asia for the last 3 years. And our goal is to go back and help that area develop too. So a little bit of background about the course. This is the 3rd year that it's held. The first year, though, each year was a different topic. The first year was on post-Kyoto policies for the central government. So the cohort of students met together in Japan for 12 days, and they had representatives and professors and academics and researchers come and speak to them. And at the end of the course, they put together different policy proposals targeted at different developing countries for what they should do to fit themselves into the post-Kyoto treaties. The second course was held in Bogor, Indonesia, and it dealt with climate change policies. What can developing countries do to do climate mitigation? What can they do to do climate adaptation? And they had a special focus on forestry. That's why it was held in Indonesia. And this last one was on low carbon and green innovation, and that was the one held in Beijing. And it was, again, a 12-day course, nonstop. We lost sight of what day was the week of the week it was. And again, as I said, the innovation portion of it is how do we take the technologies that already exist and spread it? How do we make the governments take it on as something as a viable alternative to existing energy sources that are already out there? So the big focus was green energy. It was covered in several sections, and the energies we went over were all renewable energy sources, and these were the solar energy, wind, biomass, tidal, and hydroelectric energy. What was really significant was that how have developing countries latched onto these? What have they used before? What are the challenges of implementing these renewable energies in the developing country context? We had professionals from the Chinese ministry come in. We had people from Korea, Vietnam, and they spoke to us specifically about their challenges. The next topic was green transportation. Now in Beijing, as you know, China has this immense population, and not everybody can afford to have a car. So we did a lot of case studies of what transportation was going to be like in China and what ideas they have going forward to reduce transportation congestion. So we looked into providing alternative transportation modes, and this is a picture of a solar-powered car that the major solar producer in China has created as a prototype. Other efficient transportation systems they thought about were intelligent transportation systems, where they showcased the highways and what was congested so people know ahead of time to go around. They also talked about mass transportation systems, and it was funny because right before we went, China had that mass transit train that crashed. So they're still ironing out some details, but it was really interesting just to hear first from their point of view what they were planning moving forward. The next slide. And then we looked at what are the policy tools and what are the planning tools used for promoting these types of technologies. And what you have here is a picture of a solar hotel. And the tool used here is an industrial zone created by the Chinese government that brought in all like outside green manufacturers, and it also brought in the research center, and it was called Baoding. And the black spots you see on the windows, those are all solar cells. And this hotel is, for the most part, the majority of its energy is from solar energy. It does use a little bit of the other types of energies. Oh, okay. So, and then there's other planning tools.
Yeah, so the purpose or the overriding theme of the course wasn't the technologies, the green technologies themselves, but rather how to implement those, how to get developing countries to adopt those. Because just like telecommunications technology, where emerging markets skipped the landlines and went right to mobile technologies, we'd like to see developing countries do the same thing with energy, so they can just skip over the high carbon ways and go to low carbon. So to do that, we talked about lots of policy tools and techniques. And I'm going to only mention a couple of them. One of them is the technology roadmap, where if you're a developing country and you have to think about how are you going to power your residential sector, your industrial sector, how are you going to grow your cities, how are you going to provide transportation. It's so many facets, but really one end goal. So there's these technology roadmaps you create so that the milestones you hit all end up into a concerted end vision. The next one is the concept of an eco-model city. China has one. There's several others in Asia. So again, if you're a developing country and you're growing quickly and you're going to create a city, why not create it in a sustainable way? Why not learn some lessons and build one from the ground up in a green, low-carbon way, and then use the lessons you learn that to either grow more cities or maybe even revamp some of your existing cities. We also talked a lot about climate change and carbon emissions, as you would imagine. And the theme here was really international cooperation. How can the rich and already developed countries work together with the poor and developing countries so that they can prosper, but not in the same high carbon way and in a low carbon way? And how can they meet sustainable carbon targets? So we did have a little bit of fun and didn't stay in the classroom the whole time. We did 2 tours, one through the solar, to see how solar panel was made, and one to see how wind energy turbines were made. And that was very interesting. And at the end, all of the groups in the class, we all did a group presentation, and I'm still working with my team. We're all still working together to produce papers, which will be published in March in just a collaborative publication. Okay, and so we did get a chance to see the Great Wall of China. We couldn't have gone there. Here's our contact information. If you want to know anything else about this course, please get in touch with us. Thank you.
Next year.
Yes, we have, and they do this course every year. So this is the 3rd time, but they will keep going, and UT will always be involved. Thank you.